All right, so to just recap what we spoke about, the setup is very, very important to create the correct impact factors that we need to be able to hit the shot that we are trying to hit. So if we, trying to hit it lower, we need certain impact factors. If we're trying to hit it higher, we need certain impact factors. Now, what we want to get you just as a starting point is just a standard kind of chip shot. So, let's call it your stock standard flight. So a sort of medium kind of trajectory. What I'd like to see firstly is we saw that this right foot was toed, towards the golf ball, towards the target. Now, the problem with that, when we get the toe toed in, there's a very big likelihood that this right knee collapses during the downswing. Now, that could make your angle of attack a little bit shallow and lead to very inconsistent strikes. So what I'd like to see, that right foot just toed out slightly. The ball position as a starting point, we can start somewhere in the middle of your stance. Then I'd like to see the shaft pretty vertical, okay? If we get the shaft leaning too far forward, we're taking the bounce off the club. That's going to expose, the leading edge. And when we get to, lies that are a little bit into the grain, very, very soft conditions, it's going to make it very easy for you to fold the divot over your golf ball. Maybe not quite that bad, but it has the potential for that to happen. So what I'd like to see is the shaft pretty much vertical. We've got our right foot toed out, our left foot slightly toed out, ball position somewhere in the middle of your stance. And then what I think is very, very important to be able to control the low point of the golf club is to make sure we get our swing center. If we take the golf club and sort of, put it on our chest and imagine it's a laser beam, we want to get that laser beam pointing slightly forward and then down to, just in front of the golf ball. Now, what you'll notice here is that the middle of my head, my sternum, my belt, and close to the middle of my stance are all on top of each other. Now, because my shoulders are rotated slightly open, you're going to notice that my right shoulder, my right hip, my right foot are all on top of each other. That's going to help us control the low point. So that's from a setup point of view. When we're moving into a technique point of view, the first thing that I want you to work on, and this is going to be your progression to hitting, random chop shots around the green, your block practice is going to be, you're going to get set up, shaft nice and vertical, all of the setup things we just spoke about. And now from this position here, I want you to put your left arm, just above, or your left hand, my apologies, just above your right elbow, and you sort of holding that connection of the right arm to your body. Now, from this position, all we want to see is that you are making little or hitting little chip shots just with your right hand, allowing the club head to pass your hands. That's going to expose the bounce. So that's going to be your first progression. All right. Second progression is going to be hitting chip shots with your left hand. Okay. Now, with the left hand, this right hand, you can put it just on your thigh. Okay. Now, the point of chip shots with only the left hand is that we want to maintain the cup in this left wrist. So we'll see that If the cup disappears, the club face is closed. If the cup remains, the club face is open, or you know, putting loft on the club face. Now from there you can release the club and you're going to hear the bounce make contact with the turf, which is what we're looking for. So as your little block practice routine, okay, we would start with making sure the setup is good, okay, hit maybe 3 chop shots just with the right hand. Okay, so you would hit 3 shots like that for me, obviously paying special attention to the strike. Then you would get set up and hit 3 shots just with your left hand and maintaining that you know, maintaining the cup in that left wrist. And once you've done that, you would get set up like we've spoken about, down in front. Okay, now we've got 2 hands and now we're trying to do things together. So right elbow stays connected, cup in the left wrist is maintained, and from that position you can hit really good chop shots. Give that a go. I think as a progression to, you know, really getting the hands to work correctly, you know, exposing the bounce, adding loft to the club, I think it's a really